I am joining you guys today here for the Everything Stock Charts segment. And what we're going to talk about is organizing your chart lists like a Stock Charts pro. I'm actually going to share something a little personal here. It's going to be how I organize my own chart lists in my account. So I'm actually going to take you guys over to my account and show you how I've organized everything in there. So I'm kind of opening up here. This is interesting. Yeah, how do you feel about that, Tom?
I'm a little nervous.
Well, first, I do want to sort of do a little more formal introduction of who I am for all of you who are wondering, what's this weird voice that we're hearing on the line? My name is Grayson Roze. As they said, I am the business manager here at StockCharts.com, which is important because that's why I'm joining you for the Everything Stock Charts. But in addition to that, I'm actually an active investor. So I've written a couple books. I've been trading for years, written a couple books. My most recent book was Trading for Dummies. I'm also the co-author of Tensile Trading, the 10 Essential Stages of Stock Market Mastery. That came out about 2 years ago. But my point in sharing that is that what I'm showing you here today, it's how I organize my chart list from the perspective of a Stock Charts employee, someone who spends all day, every day on the site working for the company. But it's also how I organize my chart lists from the perspective of an active investor. This is exactly how I watch the markets using chart lists. So I think that's key. So with that out of the way, let's kind of dive in here and start talking about chart lists. First off, this is what we're going to cover today. The first question that we want to get out of the way is, for all of you who are wondering, what the heck is a chart list? We're going to run through that, give you sort of an overview of what a chart list is and why they're important. Because really, I think that chart lists are, without a doubt, the most powerful, most important feature on stock charts. So it's something that we want everyone to be aware of. We're going to actually take a look at the chart list naming convention. We want to make sure that you understand the chart list naming convention and how that affects the order of them as they appear in your stock charts account. Then we're going to look at how I personally organize my chart lists. Like I said, I'm going to take you over to my account and show you what I do. And how I've sort of customized the order of my chart lists for the way that I watch the market. And then most importantly, this is something I'm really excited about. I'm going to share with you sort of my tip of the day on how to create a watch list. By sort of modifying the naming convention of your chart list, you can actually create a very easy to use, quick, really, really helpful sort of watch list on the site that'll make it a lot easier to track stocks as you come across the nice looking charts there that you want to watch. So chart lists. Let's dive into it. A lot of you know this. A lot of you, are obviously Stock Charts members. You use chart lists. But for those of you who don't know, chart lists allow you to save and organize charts in your Stock Charts account. So whether it's, charts you're watching, good charts that you want to keep an eye on, whether it's stuff in your portfolio, this is also annotated charts. So as you're, watching different stocks, different funds, and you annotate those charts, you draw your trend lines, you draw your channels, add your text call outs, all that stuff. Those annotations actually get saved in your chart lists as part of your Stock Charts account. You can view chart lists in about 9 different sort of analysis modes is what I call them. Things like gallery view, summary view, candle glance, all of these different modes that allow you to analyze the stocks and funds in your chart lists in different ways. Chart lists can also be made public. We actually have something called the public chart lists area of the site, sort of a way to connect with other Stock Charts users. We'll cover that more in detail in a future Everything Stock Charts. That's a whole separate thing that kind of stands on its own. But the idea here is that you can actually share charts and chart lists with other Stock Charts users. So also, a key thing to understand is that the number of chart lists varies by service level. So if you're a basic user, you get 1 chart list. It's just called your default list. If you're an extra user, you get 250 chart lists. And if you're a pro user, you get 350 chart lists. So what I'm going to show you here, like I said, is how I personally organize my chart lists. My account is a pro account, so I've got much more space, which allows me to actually sort of add multiple lists and kind of build out the chart list functionality for the way that I watch the market. So before we do that, the naming convention. This is really, really important. Chart lists are ordered alphabetically. They're ordered alphabetically on your members dashboard, which we'll take a look at in a second. They're also ordered alphabetically in the different drop-down menus on the site. So whether you're on the scanning workbench or the Sharp Charts workbench, any of the different pages, whether you're actually looking at a chart list and you want to switch to another one, the drop-down menus are all going to be ordered alphabetically. However, the order can be modified by using what we sort of call a code. You can sort of add symbols and numbers to the names of your chart lists, and those will actually modify the order because symbols and numbers come before letters in our order of chart lists. So the tip here is that you can use symbols, numbers, or a combination of the two in any sort of customized code naming convention that you come up with, something that makes sense to you, to actually modify the organization and the order of your chart list. So I'm going to show you how I've done that. I'm going to show you here in this presentation first before we actually jump over to the live site, because I think it'll help it kind of make a little more sense what I've done. So my personal organization, I've chosen stars. So I said symbols and numbers. You can use a combination of symbols and numbers. You can just use numbers, just use symbols. I've chosen to use stars. They're kind of small. They don't take up much visual space, but they do allow me to sort of modify the order of my chart lists. I use a 1-star naming convention for what I call my tier 1 watch list. It is the only list in my account that has 1 star by its name. You can see here it's got a star at the front and a star at the back. And it's, like I said, the only list in my account that uses 1 star is my tier 1 watch list. So what that means is that because it's 1 star, it's always going to be at the top of my dashboard, at the top of my drop-down menus. It's always going to be the first chart list in my lists. I'll show you why that's important later on. We're going to get to that tip of the day that I mentioned. Anyways, then I have 5 market analysis lists. These are lists that help me run through what the markets are doing, what the major indices are doing. Helps me get a grip on what the market is doing. I have 5 of those, and each of my market analysis lists uses 2 stars. So 2 stars comes after 1 star. So in my order of chart lists, the next 5 lists all use 2 stars, and they're actually numbered. In addition to the 2 stars, they're actually numbered 1 through 5. So I'll show you that in just a second. Next, I used 3 stars for my different portfolios. I've got a couple different portfolios. I actually have sort of nicknames for them, so you'll see that. But for instance, I've got a trading portfolio and I've got a retirement portfolio. I want to look at those separately because I look at them in very different ways. So I've got chart lists for each one, and each of my portfolio lists is named with 3 stars at the beginning and 3 stars at the back. Now, lastly, I have something called a stocking list. It's 4 stars. And the key with my stocking list, it's the stuff that I'm really watching closely. I'm looking at pulling the trigger on one of these trades. It's sort of been filtered down from my tier 1 watch list into my stocking list. It's a lot smaller, and it's stuff that I'm really, really keeping a close eye on. I'm watching the intraday charts, watching the minute-to-minute movements, and it's stuff that I'm looking at trading pretty soon. So anyways, the key with this star system is that my lists are always the lists that I care about, the lists that I really, really care about, the lists that I look at on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, everything. Those are always ordered according to my star system in the same way. And because I use this star system, they're always right at the top of my chart list order. So in the drop-down menus and on my members dashboard, those are always the first block of chart lists that I see. So I'll show you that in just a sec, actually on the site. I'll take you over to my account. The tip of the day. This is going to make a lot more sense in a minute because we're going to look at the live site. But what I want you to note is that the first chart list, again, the first chart list in the order, whatever it is, if you just kind of default to the alphabetical order, the first chart list will always appear on the ChartCharts Workbench Save menu. Whatever the first chart list in your order is, that's always going to appear on the ChartCharts Workbench Save menu. I'll show you that in a minute. The tip here is that you can create what I call a watch list, which sort of becomes a really quick and easy to use dump bucket for stocks that you come across or funds or anything else. You can create this watch list by using symbols in the name of your first chart list. So by using symbols or numbers to modify the order of your chart lists, if you make sure that your watch list is the first one in the list, then it makes the ChartCharts Workbench a lot easier to use because you can sort of really quickly in just one click, I'll show you this, you can dump stocks and funds that you find into that watch list. For me, like you saw, I call it the tier 1 watch list. So as I'm flying around the site, I'm coming across all these different charts. I mean, bull market like we got here today, I'm finding tons of stuff that I like. I just kind of dump things into that tier 1 watch list. And then I go back at a later point in time and I say, okay, I'm gonna look at this more closely. What do I want to add to my stocking list? As I become really serious about something, I'll move it from the tier 1 watch list to the stocking list. So, like I said, I'll show you that in just a minute. But this, again, makes it really quick and easy to maintain a watch list of interesting stocks and funds that you find. So let's head on over to StockCharts.com. This is my account, okay? I'm here on the members dashboard. I'm logged into my account. Looks like we've got actually a glitch here. Okay, there you go. So now you can see my account. We're in my account. I'm logged in. This is my personal account. This is what I use every day. So I'm going to come over here to the ChartLists button. I'm going to click ChartLists, and you should see my chart lists. Okay, I'm here on the members dashboard looking at my chart list. So these lists that I've been rambling on about are right here. Tier 1 watch list, my 2-star market evaluation list, sector ETFs, all that stuff. And then my 3-star portfolio list. You can see I've got Lauriston, Retirement, Stratton portfolios, Voltaire portfolio. That's just sort of my funny nicknames for my different portfolios. And then I've got my 4-star stocking list, okay? So what you can see is that every other chart list in my account is down here, and they're ordered alphabetically. All of these GR lists are actually part of what we call a chart pack. But down below there, I've got some others. You know, these are different chart lists that we actually use to build stuff on StockCharts. But all of my other lists are just ordered alphabetically. But what's important is that the lists that I really, really care about, the lists that I watch on a daily basis, are always up here, okay? So if I dive into my tier 1 watch list and I click on this drop-down menu here, again, in that drop-down menu, the lists that are at the top, because I've customized the order with this star system, the lists that are at the top are the lists that I really want to sort of interact with on a daily basis. Everything else that I use, but it's less common, it's down here, okay? So what we're going to show now, hopefully you've seen that. You've seen me come over to the members dashboard, go down to my chart list, and you can see how I organize my list with this sort of star system. And you can see, I mean, my market evaluation lists are also numbered. So I've got the 2 stars, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for sort of broad market evaluation. I've got specific charts that I look at for the S&P 500 and for something called the VTI, which is Vanguard Total Index. Sector ETFs, Dow industry groups, I'm watching all that stuff. That's sort of part of my market evaluation strategy. So those are all ordered, and they're ordered from top to bottom, right? You've got, total market down into the sector ETFs, and then down into the industry groups, Dow industry groups. So anyways, you can see that this is ordered. So this tier 1 watch list, this is the tip of the day. This is what I really want you guys to all watch closely. I'm going to go up here, and let's say I'm flying around the site. I'm looking at different stocks and things like that, and I come across Adobe, okay? And I like the chart of Adobe. Adobe looks great. Hey, up 1.5% today. Chart looks really good. I'm liking that, okay? So let's say I want to keep an eye on Adobe. What I do, because I have this tier 1 watch list, and it's got 1 star by the name, and it's always the first in my list, you'll notice that any stock or fund that I pull up, let's say I pull up SPY, tier 1 watch list is the first thing in this drop-down menu. By default, your first chart list in your order is always going to load in this drop-down menu. So let's say I go back to Adobe. I like Adobe. I want to add it to my watch list. I want to keep a close eye on Adobe. Maybe I want to trade this in the future. All I have to do to save this to my watch list is hit Save As, Adobe. It's already loaded in here with tier 1 watch list. I hit Add New, goes right in there. So now you can see that this changed. It says Adobe, and I've got Adobe now in my tier 1 watch list. I can hit View All, and here you go. Here's all the stocks in summary view, all the stocks that I've just sort of dumped into my tier 1 watch list. It's really, really quick and easy when you make your watch list, whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it watch list, if you want to call it favorites, whatever. If you make that the first list in your account, it becomes this really quick and easy dump bucket, sort of. So, let's say I like Adobe a little bit more, and I'm actually getting serious about it. What I can do now is hit Save As and move it down into my stocking list. I can hit Adobe, choose stocking, select Save, and now it's down into this stocking list, which is stuff that I'm more actively considering, stuff that I'm keeping a really close eye on. You can see it moved into that list. So anyways, my tip for you, create a watch list. and modify the naming convention of your chart list and make sure that that watch list is the first chart list in your account. That's going to make it really, really easy to just dump stuff in there as you're coming across it, save it for later. You can always come back to it, as opposed to having to, every time you want to save a chart that you stumble across, as opposed to having to go into that drop-down menu and select something, scroll through maybe a couple dozen chart lists that you have. So,
Grayson, could you explain how maybe you can just change the name of a current list you have to?
Sure. That's a great idea. So let's say I go down here. I'll scroll all the way to the bottom. I'll do my top charts. This is a random list from an old StockCharts project. So I'm going to hit my top charts, and I'm going to choose edit, okay? The edit view for that chart list. Now, all you have to do to change the name of this chart list, of an existing chart list, is click this. You'll notice that it changes here. You can actually type, and I'm going to say, this is my watch list, okay? And I'm going to use my 1-star naming convention here. I'm going to hit save. And now, when I go back to my members dashboard and I hit chart lists, you'll see that the first list here is this is my watch list. So now I've updated the name of that, and I've made it using my 1-star system. I've made it the first list in my account. And when I go up here and I pull up Adobe, pull up some random chart, you'll notice that this is my watch list is now the first list in my my drop-down menu there, first list in the order. Now, you can also get to that edit view here if you're on the members dashboard. You click chart lists, you scroll down to your chart list. Under view list as, this is a drop-down menu, and you can select edit. So you can go right to that edit page. And again, you just click here. It says actually right there, chart list title, click name below to edit. You just click that, hit save, and you're good to go. That help?
Yeah, I think so. That was, because everybody's pretty excited about what you're showing, but they're concerned they can't change their name.
Yeah, hopefully that helps. All you got to do is go to the edit view for that chart list, anyone that you want to rename. If you want to add a new list, if you want to just create a chart list from scratch, you can scroll down here. You can also hit new right there on the members dashboard. If you hit new, it'll pop up with a box, and you can just rename a new list. Again, another new watch list. There you go. And it's right there. You can start adding stuff to it. So anyways, I wanted to show that tip. I think it's a really, really quick and easy sort of StockCharts hack, and I've found that it just makes my sort of analysis a lot faster. It makes my use of StockCharts much more efficient, if you will.
Yes.
Hey, Grayson.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a question that had come in too about, if you're in a chart list and you want to add a bunch of industries at once, could you just kind of show them how you can click on that many?
Yeah,
Sure.
how do you add just a bunch?
Yeah, so this is a new list that I just created. When you first create a list, it's got this message here that says, welcome to your new chart list, another new watch list. So you have a couple different ways to add charts to this. You can do one, and if I wanted to add, Microsoft or something, and I can even add the name. So that's gonna be added to the list. If I want to do many, I can do Adobe and a bunch of different stocks here, and just separate them with commas. You can see that I separated each of these with a comma. Okay, and that's going to add a bunch of different stocks to the list. Now, you can also add from group. We've got these different predefined group options. You can add from all of these different predefined groups. You can do industry groups, US and Canadian industry groups. That's another quick way to add stuff. You can also upload from a CSV file. So that's another way. If you're maintaining a spreadsheet or something on your desktop, you can also upload from a CSV file. So anyways, that's how you can add stuff to a chart list. That's a good thing to note. Thanks, Tom.
Yep, no problem. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom, you gonna create a watch list? You gonna create a tier 1 watch list?
Can't wait. I'm gonna set mine up exactly the way you have it set up, Grayson.
There you go. There you go.
I'll be giving you a call later.
I'm teaching you. It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it is pretty cool though, because you have the opportunity. Everybody has an opportunity to set it up the way they want to set it up, and I think that tip about putting your whatever that your main chart list is that you want to be able to move things around the quickest. I think it's a good tip to have that as your number 1 chart list on the drop down menu, because then it's basically your default. So if you're looking if you like to stalk a lot of stocks and you're looking, you're like, man, that one looks really good, I don't want to forget about it. Well, if you have your stalking stocks or your watch list or something as your very first chart list, you find that stock, as you showed with Adobe, all you do is you just click on that one save button and boom, it's it's in your list.
Yeah, so it's fast. It's fast. Like I said, this is an efficiency thing. It's kind of a StockCharts hack. That's what we'll call it, but definitely a great way to sort of make your use of the site a little bit more efficient. So anyways, with that, I think I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for having me here on Everything StockCharts, and I'll see you guys again soon.